Okay, it's 6:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Mary, could I have a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Here. Here. Here. Here. Here.
Okay, everyone, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to minutes. Everyone should have had a chance to review the regular meeting minutes on October 28th and the special meeting on October 28th. If there's no additions or corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I move for approval of the regular meeting minutes of October 28th and also the special meeting minutes of October 28th as written.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the regular and special meeting minutes for October 28th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here and welcome everyone online watching tonight. We have no public comment, so we'll move on to the agenda. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda. If there's no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to adopt it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, reports from administration. 8.1 School of the Month, the middle school.
Good evening. Thank you for the privilege of letting the middle school come and share with you. I appreciate many of you coming to our site last week and having the coffee chat, as well as touring around our middle school. We're excited to present to you tonight. No, I did not bring a choir, and no, I will not be singing. So just so you are aware. But we do have the top 10 list for the middle school as a I don't stay up late enough to watch late shows anymore, but I was a big Letterman fan. So we're going to do the middle school top 10. So here's the BDMS top 10 list. You're going to see, unfortunately, Jamie Dugan is unable to be here tonight, but Mr. Lindy and Mrs. Schmidt will jump in and give you some of these information on some of these top 10 items. So we hope to spend just a minute or two on some of these. So with that, again, appreciate very much the time that you've invested in the middle school. I would be remiss if I didn't start with appreciation for the board and to the community for the referendum that was passed earlier. However, this presentation is going to focus on this year at the middle school and our current efforts. With that, number 10 of 10 things you should know about the middle school is something new that we've done this year called Floor Time. And house, which includes house competitions. So for this, we have monthly activities. So we have a schedule that we run once a month that gives floors, which is a grade level in our building. So 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Gives them time to come together and do competitions or activities. And we have 3 houses at each grade level, House A, House B, House C. And they have the opportunity to compete against each other. So you'll see things like relay races that are team building in nature, but our houses are competing against each other. Different gym activities. We've only had 2, so we look forward to the end of this month for our 3rd competition. I will say there was a significant difference between the first time we did this, like kids, like competitive, like what are we doing, to this last time, particularly 7th grade. Kids have posters cheering for their house. They are chanting kindly towards one another. There was no like UW-Madison chants going on, anything like that. They were very friendly towards each other, but they're starting to buy into the spirit of bonding to each other. So they keep track. There's a trophy that the winning house gets for the month that includes 2 parts. That includes the actual competition that occurs once a month, but then for points we also wrap in a behavior incentive, which, like, for example, this month is around tardies. So the house at the grade level with the least tardies gets points. Those come together, and then there's a year-long competition. We're not sure what the champion at the end of the year gets yet, but we have some time to worry about that. So that's just something I think that is really positive about building up some pride and ownership in our building, and you can see just a couple of those pictures. So there's some of those posters that showed up. And again, so sixth grade has largely done this in their advisory. So you can see if you look closely, there's a hula hoop passing, so they're like the human chain. And then each advisory that we have was like timing themselves against each other. So it's been a lot of fun. I think it'll get to be more fun. Again, with the purpose though of building community and making sure our students want to be at the school and see while we're serious about learning, it is also a fun place where we care about them as well. So we're going to move on to number 9 and move that to Mr. Lindy to talk about student opportunities we have.
Good. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. We're really proud to offer so many things for our middle school students. In addition to a lot of the traditional athletic activities that we offer, which a number of our students participate in, the list in front of you showcases just how talented our student body is, just how involved they want to be in various activities, and really highlights the strength of our staff and their willingness to assist kids in so many different things. So really proud of the things that have already taken place, band, orchestra, choir concerts, and then a number of our organizations that meet pretty annually or weekly throughout the year to conduct their business. So as you can see, just a lot of offerings for our students, and I think the one on the bottom is one that we'd really like to emphasize. Our after-school academic support has been very popularly attended by students. After-school tutoring opportunities where our staff is strategically working individually with students who are there for improvement and for performance upgrades. So really proud of our staff, really proud of our student body for their commitments to our extracurricular opportunities.
Can I ask a question? What's the Battle of Books?
The Battle of Books, kind of a traditional reading books and trivia style questions, and I think there's a competition for that. It's conducted virtually now. I remember a long time ago when I did it, you'd actually report to different schools and have competitions that way, but now in the 21st century, they can do it electronically. Really exciting opportunity to continue to support literacy in a competitive environment.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. I'll get us to number 8. Number 8 for our top 10 is sharing with you the Golden Way and Student of the Month. So we do have behavioral expectations at the middle school that we teach deliberately and taught deliberately at the beginning of the year. We analyze, and this is the overview of what the classroom standards would be. Across all of our settings, we focus on being respectful, responsible, and safe. With that in mind, we have a behavior task force that monitors that data monthly to find out where we're being successful, where we're not, and then come up with a plan for the following month to address that. So for example, I mentioned to you the house competition this month is around tardies, so that was seen as a need by our behavior task force that's made up of administrators as well as teachers, and then come up with a plan to reteach that expectation, which occurs in our advisory, and then that also becomes a part of our house competition, among some other things that we're trying to do. So been very deliberate this year about teaching students our expectations, addressing school-wide issues as they arise, and then obviously working with individual students in individual cases when students might not be meeting those expectations. With that, Mrs. Schmidt will talk about something new to our school this year. Advisory isn't new, but how we're structuring it is. And Mrs. Schmidt will talk about that.
Okay, so advisory is a class that we have after our first and second hour. So all students report to their advisory teachers, which is sometimes where they also start their day too. If like for sixth grade, they start with their advisory where they can have breakfast before going to first hour. When they are actually in advisory on Mondays and Tuesdays, we set it up where we're working on social emotional learning. This is like sometimes character traits. I know we've been really working on controlling what we can control as school or as 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They really need some help with understanding they can't control everything all the time. So focusing on what's in their realm and how they can do it. Or we have behavior lessons. So that can be once a month. We, as a behavior task force, pick behavior that we want to focus on, and then Jamie Dugan, our Dean of Students, she will come up and help with the lesson, and that will be given to all of the students. So it's a really good opportunity for them to get to know their advisory in a smaller setting, but it also work on some of these social emotional learning traits or opportunities that they need to. Then Wednesday through Friday, that's where we are able to identify students that might need Tier 2 instruction based on the data that the math and the ELA teachers are polling. So every 3 weeks we rotate, so students are given 9 extra opportunities to work on a skill that maybe they didn't get and it wasn't shown in their assessment skills or any data that's been collected. So they work with either our math teachers for extra support, our ELA teachers, and we also have our literacy and math supports specialists that can pull. We also have students on Wednesday through Friday, if they've been identified as students that need a little more intervention when it comes to SEL skills, they can get that too. So they're really getting a lot more extra support than they have in the past, coming from all areas, and just making sure that we're really using all the minutes that we have with students in a helpful way so they can improve any of the skills that they might be lacking at that moment. And I think that's all I have for that one. Mr. Lindy will have the next slide.
All right, Mr. Lindy, on our ELA and math structure. For those of you that visited the middle school, I just want to add to what Abby said. We're just now this week, or last week, up over 200 different interventions in advisory that we've offered students. So pretty successful.
A few years ago, I think the decision was made to switch to a block schedule at the middle school, and those 83 minutes can be sometimes challenging minutes to organize, especially with middle school students. You're given 83 minutes as a teacher, and occupy your time, high leverage instruction, and keep them in a safe and controlled environment. Go ahead. I think an updated structure that's incorporating small group instruction. I think a class that is focused on multiple aspects of the instructional process is one that we've attempted to move to this year. Teachers have claimed this year that the new and improved structure has made the block schedule seem like the day flies by, whereas in the past some of the anecdotal the storytelling from the teachers was that those 83 minutes were really hard to fill. Versus right now, they say the bell rings after 83 minutes and they feel like they just got class started. So we have a structure kind of in place where students come in with a bell ringer at the beginning, 3 to 5 minutes to get things going. Then they can break off into their small group instruction, which then provides those instructors with some one-on-one time, some of that more Tier 2 type of intervention, but found in a Tier 1 setting. And then they go off and branch to their core lesson, which can sometimes fill the same time that maybe a skinny period would of a 40, 45-minute class structure. And then end with a closure check of some kind. And the first graphic that Mr. Meyer had put up there was a math example. And then the same thing can exist in the ELA setting. Both departments have come up with fancy acronyms, mnemonic devices to help occupy those minutes. So for math class, they have the acronym MATH, and then each of those 4 letters stands for one of the 4 components of the class that they're going to structure through. And then for ELA, they've adopted the acronym READS, and each of those letters of READ stands for one of the elements of class that they try to engage in. So it's made starting class, I think, more efficient. I think ending class, it's been more efficient as they're checking for comprehension on a daily basis. And then just breaking up for ELA especially, the reading and the writing instruction to kind of go in an opposite day structure, then also allows them to incorporate vocabulary and grammar within their instruction. They've been really excited about the student engagement, and I think the high leverage learning opportunities in this model exceed where they've been in the past. So really excited about this new approach, and really thrilled that our teachers have embraced it and the students seem like they're thriving as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lindy. I'll echo on Wednesdays, math does a number talk instead of small group and meaningful practice time at the beginning of class, and like the kids don't like it. They're used to the routine that we've built and getting them into that independent practice. We also, number 5, getting up there, this is taking a little longer than Letterman would, but it's meaningful, okay? Number 5, Mrs. Schmidt is going to talk to you a little bit about our literacy focus at the middle school, particularly the professional development that our staff are participating in.
Okay, so we have been working with Keys to Literacy for our focus on literacy. The key to comprehension is when ELA and social studies teachers are working on, and then myself and Mr. Lindy oversee the comprehension, and then the key to vocabulary is what our science and our elective courses are working with. So within those, the first day they came in and we had an in-person presenter, and they were going through some of these different routines and skills that we can use. And since then, on our in-service days, we have virtual sessions where everyone checks in. We work within the large group, but then we also go into breakout rooms and we figure out how we can incorporate some of the strategies that we're learning, such as, I know 2-column notes has been a really big hit that we've been working on right now, but we've also worked on graphic webs, and it's really fun to not only participate in this PD, but then go into the classrooms and see the teachers using it. And some of the teachers are like, this is awesome. We can work on it not only for the skills that we're working on in class, but they also are using it for like their SEL skills and what the classroom behavior should look like and things like that. So they're not only using it just for their content, but they're using it on the character building traits as well.
Thank you very much. I will say I did send him some pictures. Our PE team has a massive word wall. If you walk into the pond, you'll see a word, like all the vocabulary that they're exploring this year. So all of our departments have really taken that on and are committed to helping kids read more, write more, discuss more. That's kind of our motto this year at the middle school. Continuing the theme for professional development, while we break off here for number 5, we break off into teams on each in-service day and learn together. We, as a whole school, we come together and we're reading this book called Learning That Sticks. And what this is a book that is very tangible. It's not completely theoretical, so we can kind of get a grip on it. But it's about the phases of learning and how students and adults' brains actually learn. Unfortunately, I don't feel like a lot of teacher prep programs spend enough time on this. They spend a lot of time on here's strategies or activities that you can do instead of spending time on why we would do those and when we would do those. And this book is one that helps us think about how students actually learn something, which then helps us deploy the right strategy at the right time in the classroom. So I think this is really high leverage. We're exploring this chapter by chapter over the course of the year. And then about 2/3 of the way through the year, 3/4 of the way through the year, while teachers are applying this earlier, we're really going to then move into some like implementation. So we're in the learning phase of this, but a lot of positive conversations. I'll be honest, I shared this book out, and I don't think there were probably 4 or 5 really eager learners about, like brain-based theory people, like our school psychologists, that were excited about it. I think the conversations, though, have been rich, that we've had just these micro conversations on our in-service days, but connecting the dots of why we do what we do and when we should do it appropriately. So a big part of our professional development strategy this year. When it comes to number 3, you're going to get me again. We're not changing the show. So number 3, enrichment opportunities. Wanted to let you know that we talked a lot about intervention, and we continually do, and how do we support students that might not be at grade level or might not be making the grade level mark, and that is incredibly important. But we serve every student, and our goal at the middle school is to ensure that every student grows by at least 1 year, and students below grade level grow by more than that, hence the intervention. But we still have to provide opportunities for students that are at grade level. So you'll see 4 examples of things that we're working on at the middle school this year. When I talked to you about that, when Mrs. Schmidt talked to you about the advisory structure, we're also offering enrichment opportunities in that time. So that includes students that are identified as high performing in math, getting together in that time and completing more challenge enrichment type of activities to help accelerate their learning. Some things that might not be able to be done in the regular classroom. We do offer some accelerated math pathways at the middle school, so these would not be students in those accelerated pathways. It would be the students that are still achieving high and helping them, again, grow by at least that 1 year. Additionally, some students that are identified in literacy as performing at a high level. We're offering them some problem-based learning activities. So there's been a cohort of students that's been identified. This is kind of the third year of this occurring. We have a teacher, Mrs. Knox, that is overseeing this math and problem-based learning enrichment. Previously, this was done by Kathy Wiedenheft before her retirement. So in problem-based learning, what we've done is identified students that could benefit from this, and they are identifying a problem that they would like to develop solutions for. And so then they actually have to investigate, so they have to define the problem, investigate solutions, and then eventually that'll turn into writing and a presentation. But these include like interviewing people in the field, et cetera, not just like a 10-minute research paper. This is something that they would work on over the course of the year. So really going deep in their learning. In this, right now, we currently have something called Golden Words, a writing competition that's open to all students. And we have, I think, it's due in about 3 weeks, but we already have 15 or 16 submissions of people that are doing writing on their own and wish to have that submitted, and which will then be judged and awarded in our school. And then in the spring, translating that same idea that's open to everybody, a math competition in the spring. So we're going to have like a math bowl activity open to all students at the middle school, and Mrs. Knox will work to prepare students that are interested for that and host that. So more on that in the spring. Number 2, wanted to just reiterate our SSP goals, so our school success plan goals. We are committed to meeting these goals. We talk continuously about how do we meet these goals and continue that language around we will meet these goals. Our ELA goal, we're using iReady as a benchmark because it's data that we can get relatively quickly, but then again, the goal is that that translates to state exams. But we can monitor iReady more closely and in more timely manner. So our ELA goal, we're farther behind in ELA than we would like and farther behind than we are in math. So we are actually shooting to increase proficiency by at least 7% of students on grade level and a 3% reduction in students that are 2 or more grade levels below. So we're attacking this in 2 ways. Again, students that are below grade level, we want to accelerate that learning, not just 1 year, but we want to make sure that all of our students that are already proficient maintain that, and students that are at that level just below kind of 7% cross that threshold. And if we do that year over year, we'll be very successful. Math similarly, however, we've been a little bit higher performing, so we're shooting for 3% and 3% in math. Again, if we continue to achieve that and do that year over year, that makes a tremendous impact in just a short amount of years. We also have our climate culture goal, where we're looking at reducing disciplinary rates by 5% and overall disciplinary incidents by 10%, and then also increase the perceptions of our staff on how we're delivering interventions. So kind of multiple metrics in that one, but our goal is not to fudge the numbers or fake anything, but truly reduce disciplinary rates over the course of the year to ensure that our students are in class and learning more. Students cannot learn if they're not in attendance, but they also can't learn if they're not in the classroom or participating in the classroom in some way. So we're really focused on making sure that we have productive learning environments with all of our students in them. Okay, is there a drum roll for number 1? Number 1, thank you very much. That was the audience participation part of the evening. So number 1, pursuing excellence. I just want to leave you with this. We have a tremendous amount to be proud of at the middle school. We really do. And I think some of you that visited the middle school got to see some of the things that we can be proud of. And I think you can check out social media, you can talk to students. We have a lot to be proud of. But we are not where we want to be. Our goal every day is to come to school, come to work, and get better, get a little bit better. I can't promise excellence today or tomorrow, but what I can promise is that we have an incredible team, we have people committed, and our goal is to pursue excellence every day. That's it.
So I must admit, I was at the tour, and there is definitely a change in that building. It's got a different feel. It's got a really good feel from what I've seen from over the years, and obviously it looks like things are going the direction that we could want them to go. And I think you got a good team in place, and there's a lot of good work getting done, and you guys are going to get there. It's going to take a little time, but I was very, very happy what I saw, and like I said, it's just something different about that building. I've been in that building numerous times over the years, and this time was different. So keep up the good work, all you guys, please. Thank you.
Thank you. We certainly have problems that we need to solve, but I feel, as you mentioned, the team, we have problem solvers, and
Yep.
we're going to continue to get better each and every day.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Meyer, Mrs. Schmidt, or Mr. Lindy?
I mean, I'll just add, appreciate y'all having us there at the other day. As we got through the classrooms, I'd like to take a little bit of time and chat with the students that are in the classrooms, and all the students that I talked to were very engaged in the projects that they were working on. Very open to talking about it. So they were comfortable, and like I say, I was it was good to see how engaged they were, as they're working on those projects. So I'll echo what you said. I mean, it was good to see, and I look forward to the continued success at the middle
Thank you.
school.
Just as a follow-up, so we've got the goals, percentages. What's the, date to report back to us how that's going?
Yeah, great question. So these goals are end-of-year goals, so we would report back to the board in June on whether we achieve these or not, but we monitor these on more formally as a district. All schools would monitor those on a quarterly basis. So we've kind of done our end of first term monitoring. Data is a little, just how we collect the data. We'll have a little bit better data in a few months, but we did track how much we've grown. So you will officially hear again in June, but we're tracking these as a system quarterly to see if we're on track or not, and then talking as a team.
Adjustments.
What are we doing, right? And how do we make those adjustments? And then our teams, like our math team, ELA team, science, social studies, art, all of those teams meet weekly and are working on these goals weekly.
You'll also get a February update during Teaching and Learning Committee,
Okay.
and then that'll be reported out to the board, just as far as how academic data and progress is going relative to school goals.
One question I have is on attendance. Do you contact the parents if the kids are, consistently being not there? or-
Yeah, so we obviously have our attendance protocols where they miss a certain amount of days. We send letters, we then establish meetings with families to talk about reasons why, and that's a huge part of Jamie Dugan, Brock Lindy, and Abby Schmidt. That's a big part of their time, especially as we get into the year, and some students might have attendance rack up. So, and then that can lead to solutions, or that can lead to truancy proceedings, county support, etc. However, every couple of weeks, I politely ask our student services secretary to print off all of our attendance, and I get that in their mailboxes, just to have something in hand and really look at students that we can see over time. Are they ticking up, and then allow for some proactive outreach. I'll say our counselors do a lot of work on top of what our administrative team does as well. So are we as proactive as we would like to be? Maybe not, depending upon what we've got involved in, but we're trying to really keep that at the top of the radar and be solutions oriented. And it sometimes, parents state they are having the same issues and want their kid to be there. Sometimes we are able to overcome barriers. And when we find that there's barriers, we have Sarah Conity, our social worker, that can often help solve some of those barriers.
Anything else? All righty, well, thank you very much, you three. It's greatly appreciated.
I thank you for the drum roll, everybody. I appreciate that. Well done.
Okay, we'll move on to 8.2, donation acceptance. I think Mr. Cashman's got a couple things for us.
All right, so we have two donations tonight. The first one is from David Krieger. David is a parent of one of our high school art teachers, Sarah Krieger. David currently lives in Indiana and is instrumental in his support of his community there, but he wanted to extend this support to Beaver Dam. So he has generously donated $5,000 to the Beaver Dam High School Art Department. The high school art department has highlighted many of the positive contributions they have made at the high school, specifically in regards to facility improvements and community engagement. These contributions include creating display cases by the auditorium, main office, and gallery space. David wanted to support the continued growth of the display opportunities for our students, as well as any other needs that the department deemed necessary. The second donation is from Positively Hoops. Positively Hoops reached out this past spring looking to make a donation to replace basketball backboards and hoops at the elementary school gymnasiums. We had some outside vendors come in, and they toured all the elementary schools and identified Jefferson Elementary as the biggest area of need in regards to upgrading. And PH would like to donate $17,000 toward new basketball stations at this location. So after obtaining quotes from 2 different vendors, PH made the decision to replace the basketball hoops, backboards, support systems, and hardware in the East Gym at Jefferson Elementary. This totals 4 stations. So both David and PH are making generous donations that exceed the amount of $1,000. So in accordance to Board Policy 7230, any gifts or donations of this side must receive board approval. So tonight I'm requesting that you approve the receipt of these donations, and in doing so, authorize the administration to allocate this money to the Beaver Dam High School Art Department to be used for continued growth of display opportunities and other needs of the department, as well as the facilities maintenance budget to be used for the replacement of basketball backboards and hoops at Jefferson Elementary.
Any questions?
No, I make a motion that we accept these generous donations as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the 2 donations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you to Mr. Krieger and Positively Hoops for the generosity. It's
Right.
really awesome when people in our community step forward and want to support our schools in multiple different ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to reports to be presented by the Board of Education. 9.1, Board of Education Student Representative Report. Max, you are up.
Thank you, and good evening. So since we last met a couple short weeks ago, the high school has had a few major events occur, and we have a lot of major things coming up. And I'm excited to announce that after many hours of planning and preparation, I was finally able to launch a program that fulfills values that I'm passionate about. Over the summer, I attended a leadership conference in Washington, D.C. At this conference, I was able to develop a plan to give back to my community. In my natural resource management class, I learned how many resources are wasted that could be reused. So I worked closely with my FFA advisors, Mrs. Mackenzie Chitko and Mr. Jonathan Gansky, to develop a plan to reduce waste in the school building. I have also worked in partnership with this year's natural resource management class to build 4 compost bins out of galvanized steel. Paper collection bins were passed out to all teachers, and collection began last week. This week, food collection and cafeteria is beginning. If there are any questions regarding this project, I will be more than happy to answer them. Moving on, the football season came to a conclusion after losing 48-21 against Kaukauna in a Level 2 playoff game. This concluded a 9-2 overall season and brought the end to fall sports. Golden Beaver athletes and fans have a lot to hold their head high on after the fall season and can look forward to winter sports. Some teams begin practice this morning, and others will be starting soon. Good luck to all winter athletics. Last weekend, the drama department put on a wonderful production of Les Mis. Raul Zavala, playing lead character Jean Valjean, said, "It was a wonderful experience, and I felt very connected and supported by all those who came from the community to support, as well as helping support us in building our set." It is quite impressive that a high school could put on a production as complicated and long as Les Mis, especially keeping wonderful attention to detail. Way to go, students. Earlier today, the National Honor Society put on a Veterans Day ceremony for area veterans. There was a wonderful turnout with about 50 veterans in attendance. I was able to talk with many of them, and it was wonderful to hear stories about when they served and seeing them interact with other veterans. They all expressed their gratitude, with many of them saying that this event is one that they look forward to all year round. I'm grateful to have been part of an activity that they hold so close to their hearts. Shout out to all NHS members for going above and beyond by being willing to help veterans with tasks such as hanging up their jackets, getting them coffee, throwing away trash, or even helping them up from their seats. It is awesome to see students recognizing a greater cause. Most importantly, a special thank you to all veterans for your service to allow us to have our freedoms that we have today. Thank you again, veterans. Looking forward to the rest of November, we have a district-wide food drive coming up. This food drive is a competition between elementary, middle, and high school students. The winning school earns bragging rights among the schools. The high school, I can tell you, is ready to take on the challenge and bring home the victory. The food drive always gets excellent participation to give food to food pantries around Thanksgiving time so the less fortunate can still enjoy the holiday. The district staff and students have worked hard to give back to their community and have a lot to be thankful for this season with the recent referendum passing. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Is there any questions for Max at all in his report?
Max, do you have any clue how much you expect to be able to collect this year?
Yeah, so I kind of crunched some numbers, and so what we're planning is the bins are 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot, so that's the maximum size that they can be, and to have effective composting, and so I built 4 of those. And so the study behind that was, I would have to look at the numbers, but I did some research and found out the average amount of food that each kid wastes per day, and then participation about how much lunches are served throughout the day. So I talked to Taher about that, and then also the cooperation of students. So a big part of getting the food collection started, which is starting this week, is we have to have students and buy each of the collection booths so that kids aren't throwing in stuff that can't be composted, because like meat and dairy, that stuff can't be composted. So a big part's going to be watching what goes in compared to out. And then the teachers, they were instructed on the paper collection. And so if all the teachers in classrooms participate fully, we're going to have way more paper than we need. But the tech ed department, we're working with them, and with extra paper that we have, they're going to build notepads to be used out of the single-sided paper so that teachers have some scrap paper that they can use in the form of a notepad.
Nice. And then what do you plan on doing with the compost after it's processed?
Yeah, so initially we're planning on the compost being used in the school forest. So we started up a school forest about 4 or 5 years ago, and we have some saplings that struggle to grow in some of the soil because it's lacking nutrients and there's a lot of rocks. So we're going to put that around them as kind of a mulch, but also adding nutrients to the soil. And then with some grants that we've gotten from previous classes, we've been able to add benches out there, a path. And then we're hoping to buy some clear plastic tubing to also put around the saplings to prevent them from being damaged by any other environmental factors.
Congratulations on your project. It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Sounds really good. Sounds really good. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 9.2, board election, April 2025. I believe that's you, Marge.
That's me. There are 3 seats that will be up for election on April 1st of 2025. The incumbents are Isaac, Mary, and Chad. And if any of the incumbents do not intend to run for re-election, they need to file a non-candidacy paper by 5 p.m. on December 27th. Incumbents and any other members of the public seeking election need to file their candidacy papers by 5 p.m. on January 7th of 2025.
Okay, any questions for Marge on that? All clear? Sounds good. Thank you, Marge.
Okay.
All right, 9.3, Operations Committee report.
We did not meet since the last board meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Okay. 9.4, Teaching and Learning Committee.
Teaching and Learning also did not meet, but tonight we have a high school course proposal request based on the conversations we had in the last Teaching and Learning Committee. Rob wanted to share a little bit about our course proposal that we had talked about.
So we're proposing a new course for the PE department that goes through, obviously, Teaching and Learning Committee, but before that, we open up proposals. Those proposals are then shared with Mr. Tronson, and Mr. Tronson goes through a process at his building. The department chair, the department is that proposing it is comfortable with that. The guiding coalition, the building leadership team is comfortable with it. If Mr. Tronson is, then it gets forwarded to me. We collaborate over that, and then ultimately bring that to teaching and learning. This year, we have an officiating course for PE, where students would be able to be certified in certain sports that they would be able to become officials in. And then it's not, they have to have a kind of a practicum, let's say, in that sport as a part of the course. So there's certain ones that we can offer. And then they take that assessment from WIAA, and WIAA provides that curriculum for us. Other sports students would then have to do some sort of independent study, and I know Mr. Tronson and his team would problem solve around that because they have to be able to observe. For example, hockey isn't something that can be done inside that course because that's not going on during that time. So what Mr. Tronson and I shared, and I think Mr. Tronson did a wonderful job of sharing, is the course, yes, it will help fill a need for officiating, but it's really also a leadership course for students. It's about how to have difficult conversations, management, all of those types of skills that will help students be successful now and in the future. So we would like the board to, we would recommend the board approve that course so it can go on the books this fall and begin, pending student interest, next fall.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Meyer?
I have a question in regard to the cost of it says here licensing material would be free through the WIAA, and then whistles would be needed to be purchased every year for $50, and then an officiating uniform for a one-time purchase of $500. Is that the school's cost?
That's something that should the board move forward with, that we would figure out with our budget or with the student if
Or through
that's
the budget
going to
fund.
be a part of the course where we provide a uniform for the course, or whether that goes to the student. That would then be a student cost.
Okay.
The uniforms will be for the course, because they're actually going to, like, play basketball in there, or referee basketball with the classmates that are in their class, or volleyball, or any of the other sports.
Okay.
So that becomes a cost for the course material,
course
not
material.
we're buying them their uniforms too.
Right.
So you're saying they're like a sport uniform, they're the property of the school and they're checked out to them while they're involved in that program?
I mean, I'll just add that I think this is an incredible course, just for the local need. I would say a lot of, if we're talking, I mean, if we're talking youth, I think a lot of the youth sports leagues can use referees and officials, and so if there's any way that we can, get them involved in that, I'd be, I've got some connections, or I've got
Sure.
part of a program that we could use, but I like this idea a lot.
Thank you.
I'm also really excited for it because one of the things you didn't mention that I think is going to be a huge byproduct is how much these younger kids look up to these refs and how much they, then follow them in their high school sports and follow them in their activities. So I think there'll be a lot of positive relationships built too. I'm excited about it. Thanks. Good idea.
I also think it would be good. I've started officiating baseball and softball in the past couple of years, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I did around 110 games this summer officiating baseball and softball, and this winter I'm getting into basketball, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, and it's also a good way to make some nice money on the side, too.
I make a motion, we approve this course proposal as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the high school course proposal as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. All right, 9.5 board engagement. Does anyone want to share anything that they engaged in the past month since we met?
Well, I had the opportunity to go to see Les Mis at the high school auditorium. What a great production. Les Mis is one of my very favorite shows ever. I've seen it, around at different venues and also watched it a lot on PBS when they have it. And it was amazing. I thought the kids did a wonderful job, from the set decorations to the music that was being played. The orchestra was great, and the students all looked terrific, and they did a wonderful job. So thank you for that opportunity. I know that was a lot of work there in the high school and everything, and some of the little kids who ended up being there too, they had to have been pulled from somebody's family, I would think. But anyways, it was great. So I appreciate that. And I also want to thank, I think we all do, the people who got behind the scenes to push for the passage of the referendum, who talked to their neighbors, their friends, and did everything with that to move ahead with that. And we were successful. And I was looking at the amount that this, actually there were a lot of successful referendums in the state. Not all of them got passed, but we were among the lucky ones. So thank you to everybody that way.
I participated at the middle school tour, enjoyed it, as I said earlier. So again, thank you for having us come in.
I had a couple engagements. We had the election night viewing party. I want to say thank you to Chad and Mary for hosting.
We didn't stay till the end.
No, but I did have some, there were some very delicious meatballs that family recipe. I thought those were good. And then also made it to the middle school visit, which was, again, like we talked, very wonderful. And big shout out for the cream cheese frosting on my carrot cake muffin. So thank you. Hit the spot.
Anyone else have anything?
I also was at the musical. It was fantastic. I'll agree with everything that Marge said. So appreciate all the time that the staff and students put in on that. And then, no, my other thing is a recognition. We're waiting on those. So that's it.
Anything else?
Oh, middle school. I was at the middle school.
I also went to the musical. It was fantastic. I was amazed. It's a 3-hour musical. Those kids didn't miss a beat. And like she said, like the pit, the design, backstage, the singing. I saw the movie. I think this was better, personally. But and then now that bowling is a club sport, now my youngest one can actually earn a letter in bowling. So they started a couple weeks ago. They kicked butt. So they're doing really good. That was fun. And then my dad did go to the Veterans Day breakfast this morning. And he said it was really good. He was excited.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to 9.6 recognitions. I guess I'll start. If I forget anyone, I do apologize, but I just, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank everyone that turned out and voted this year. Whether you supported the referendum or not in your voting, it was really good to see the high turnout that we had. I'd like to thank the community for their support. I think our Beaver Dam community has a long history of supporting our schools, and it showed again this time around, and I really do thank everyone for that in our community. I also would like to thank Mr. DeStefano, his administration, our support staff and our support staff, our certified staff and our support staff for all the hard work that you did, whether it was coming in on your own time to do various meetings, tours of the schools, things of that sort. I really do appreciate everything that you folks all did. I would like to thank my fellow board members too. We do a lot of important work, and it's good to see that we're all continuing in that matter, and we have a lot of work to do ahead of us. So I really appreciate that. So again, I hope I didn't forget anyone, but thank you for everything. Thank you everyone for everything. It's greatly appreciated, and we got a really lot of exciting things coming up now. So anyone else?
Mary had one.
We had a number of Beaver Dam High School students at the Second Harvest Mobile Food Pantry on Saturday morning. So just appreciate their help and coming out to serve the community.
Anyone else? Mr.
I
DeStefano.
got a few. We're obviously really appreciative of the referendum, and I had an opportunity to talk with some folks about that. I don't need to talk too much about it anymore, but we're just going to do our best to honor that generous gift that the community just provided. But I want to thank our administrative team. I talked with them. We had a team, I think, the Monday before the referendum. We were in the middle school in a conveniently located classroom. It was a little tight, a little awkward in there, but that's how those classrooms are, right? But we talked a lot about our focus and regardless of how things were going to go with the election and various dynamics and energy around that, and they didn't miss a beat. So Wednesday, the day after, the day of, the whole week, last week, I mean, just keeping the focus where it needs to be, which is academic excellence and supporting kids so they can be the best versions of themselves. So kudos to them and their staff for doing that and not getting distracted for good or for bad reasons. So that's huge. Obviously want to recognize our veterans, but the kids that took the time to put together the program and share their talents in honoring our vets. Recently, the Beaver Dam Unified School District Education Fund, which is through the Beaver Dam Area Community Foundation, awarded their grants. This was a grant cycle, so it was $13,939 that is going out to 11 teachers, supporting efforts ranging from robotics to different instructional kits or other enhancements to better the experiences for kids ultimately. So really pleased with the fund and the efforts of the people behind that. And the Community Foundation's vision for helping kind of advocate and catalyze those types of things. And then last but certainly not least, we had a number of high school students from our NHS and Key Club programs that actually volunteered to help at the polling sites and assist as a city clerk, and the teams at those polling sites kind of deemed them to do whatever works appropriate for them. But we had a lot of kids come out and help and do some formal things, do some gopher-like jobs, etc., and did a great job. And I'd like to thank the city clerk for reaching out and just sharing her positive affirmation of the work that they did and how helpful and meaningful it was. So a great experience for them to be a part of that.
I just have one more thing, John. We moved kind of quickly through the donation acceptance before, but over the last months, we've had some really generous donations by people, and because we moved through it quick, because Mr. Cashman did such a good job introducing them and explaining them, I don't want to skip the part where we just really say thank you, because that gift from Positively Hoops to help with those basketball hoops, and the gift of a parent from out of state, a parent of a teacher who's still supporting his daughter in her educational endeavors, is something that's just amazing, and just makes me really proud to be part of this community and how people step up to support our kids. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't move by that too quickly.
Anything else? All right, thank you, everyone. All right, we'll move on to item 10, district policy and guidelines. 10.1, resignations, retirements. It doesn't look like there's any there.
There are none tonight.
Okay, then we'll move on to leave of absences.
There is one leave of absence for your consideration tonight.
I move the board approve the leave of absence as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the leaves of absences as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And 10.3, appointments. Doesn't look like there's nothing there either.
None there either.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nicole. All right, move on to item 11, other business, payment of claims.
I move for payment of claims in the amount of $1,730,255.97.
Second.
Give a motion, a second to approve the payment of claims. All those in favor, roll call vote, please. Ooh.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Item 12, adjournment.
I move for adjournment.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.